Hey everyone, Ryan here, M&R Productions, and following the recent massive leaks for LEGO Star Wars in summer of 2024, we essentially know every set that's going to be releasing this year, and I wanted to kind of hone in on the Phantom Menace Anniversary that's also going on this year. It's the 25th anniversary. They're doing a few sets for it, but some people may have wanted more, and I want to kind of talk about all of that, and in this video I'm going to name 10 the Phantom Menace sets that I think would be awesome to see for the 25th anniversary. Really, this video was originally planned to be kind of a wish list for this year, but I put it off a little bit too long, so now it's kind of like Phantom Menace sets I want to see in the future that I think will either be realistic to see or complete long shots. So I've got 5 of each coming up. Now, to our knowledge at this point, there's going to be 5 the Phantom Menace 25th anniversary sets, and just in general with anniversaries for LEGO Star Wars, that's a really good number, especially for a movie that's not the biggest, greatest movie they've ever made. 5 is good. I'm pretty happy with 5. It might not be the 5 that you wanted, the 5 that I wanted, but 5 is a good number to kind of celebrate 25 years for the Phantom Menace. And that's not to say, of course, some of the other sets we're going to talk about can't come out next year, the year after, you know, or maybe for the 30th anniversary or 35th anniversary. Anyway, we've already had one set released this year, and that was the AAT Polybag. It's just $5. It's not the most exciting thing in the world. It's quite literally a polybag with no figure, but it's a nice build and a nice way to celebrate a cool vehicle that debuted in the Phantom Menace. Now, the next 4 sets for the Phantom Menace's anniversary are coming out on May 1st, and I think that's a really good way to do it. Just release all the anniversary sets at once, or at least it seems, assuming nothing else comes out later in the year, but again, from the leaks recently, it doesn't seem like there will be. Now, it looks like we're going to have a $70 718-piece Bunta Eve diorama, or basically Mos Espa pod race. This, I think, is going to be in micro scale, kind of like the Death Star Trench Run set. I think it's a very interesting concept. I think there's another set, as far as dioramas go, that people would have wanted more. We'll talk about that when we get to the wish list. The next set is a buildable character. It's the Droideka. That one's going to be $60 with 583 pieces. And I'm really hyped to see what comes of this. I think this could be one of those sets with like fantastic box art and a really fun, unique build that you're going to be able to add to your collection. So that's 3 of the 5. Next up is kind of a weird one. There's apparently going to be a Phantom Menace Brickheadz pack for $55. Now, I did a video on this previously, and the characters that I expect to be in it are Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Jar Jar Binks, Darth Maul, Padme Amidala, and you got to have young Anakin. So that's what I look at as the $55 value there for a Brickheadz with LEGO Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. I think there's a lot of potential there for Brickheadz lovers for a cool set with cool characters. Finally, though, we have the Sith Infiltrator, and I think this is going to be in competition with that Droideka for what I think will be the best 25th anniversary set for the Phantom Menace. But this one's going to be $70 with 640 pieces. It's supposed to, of course, have Darth Maul, Qui-Gon, Padme, and Panaka. Seems like it could be a fantastic set, but those are the 5 Phantom Menace anniversary sets that we know of right now. And it's probably the only 5 we're going to end up getting this year, even though there's a few sets that I think would have been better this year. And we'll start with one of those with the Duel on Naboo diorama, a set that I think would do well at about $60 with Darth Maul, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan. They've done a playset version of this, but a lot of people were really hoping they would bring this into the diorama format now. It definitely could still be done in the future, and really should be done in the future, because I think it's going to be a killer set, whether it's released on an anniversary year or not, but it definitely would have gone well this year. The next set is one that I thought was guaranteed to release this year because of the pattern with polybags. The AAT polybag came out in January, and for like the last 5 years, every single polybag build that LEGO Star Wars had released had also had the larger version of that vehicle or ship in the same year. It seems like that's going to be broken this year, as there are 0 rumors of an AAT coming in 2024. But that's why I thought it would happen this year. But I think the set could be even better in the future if you do an AAT versus Gungans set. Now, they've kind of done that in the past. You had the AAT and you had Gungans in the set. You should do the same thing, except add in a Cadu. Plus maybe like the little like bomb roller thing that they had as well. You don't need to have 2 of them. It'd be nice to have 2, of course, more for your money. I think $50 makes sense for a set like this. The last AAT was $40, so you're adding in a animal and little build for the Gungans, you know, call it another $10, and I think we're even. But yeah, I think an AAT playset where there's an actual like conflict would be really cool, because every AAT before has basically been standalone. So I think that's the way that you can kind of add in something more to that set, is to add in the Cadu. It could be pretty sick. The other set that I kind of thought of as a lock this year was an MTT. The last few years, LEGO's done kind of these big buildable ships for the Clone Troopers every summer, and I just kind of expected an MTT this year in the brown color scheme with the Phantom Menace Anniversary. It just seemed like something that was going to happen. I would expect the next MTT to be the most expensive one they have ever made. I think it should come in between $150 and $170. I mean, they made Cad Bane's Justifier $170. Make a $170 MTT. It's going to sell. People are going to love it. Instead of making like a downsized, somewhat crappy version, like they should should have done this with the gunship as well, where if it's $20 or $30 more and it's just the best model it can be, you're way better off than having a compromised model that's $20 cheaper, I think, because you're already really expensive anyway. That's the way I look at that. As far as the figures for the MTT, you could give it named characters, but honestly, I would just love it to be an all-in droids pack with a bunch of different battle droids and the different like security and pilot battle droids that we've gotten in the past with some MTTs. The other set LEGO will very realistically release for the Phantom Menace probably by the end of the decade is another yellow Naboo starfighter. But the reason they probably didn't want to do one this year is because of the Mandalorian's N1 starfighter still being around. So I think that set obviously is a big conflict of interest. But I think in the future, what we're going to end up seeing is you can see where LEGO's going with some of these sets where they're going to 2-in-1 concepts with a lot of things. And I think the Naboo starfighter should get a 2-in-1 set with the Vulture droid again, like it did in 2007. It's not an outside of the box idea. They've done it before and they should do it again. Call it $70. The figure selection I'm pretty iffy on, but like Anakin, a Naboo pilot, and Newt Gunray sounds kind of cool to me. Newt Gunray just kind of as a random thrown character to have as like a cool reason to buy, but you know, I think it's a great ship combo that should have its own set once again. Finally, in the realistic category, we have not had a Phantom Menace UCS set since 2001. It's right there. It's the Darth Maul. It's, you know, a little up there, but he's there. And I think LEGO will eventually make another Phantom Menace UCS set, and I think the most sensible thing, maybe the yellow Naboo starfighter, just because it's yellow and it really pops, but if I was gonna pick, I'd pick Darth Maul Sith Infiltrator. So with 2024 included, there will have been the same amount of Naboo starfighters as Darth Maul Sith Infiltrator. So I think there's a good case for either. But regardless, 5 playsets of a thing is pretty substantial in both cases. It means the ship is popular, essentially. So I could definitely see them going and making a UCS version of one, or maybe even both. But I'm in the Darth Maul camp. I think Darth Maul is just a cool character, and I think that in and of itself would be part of the sales pitch for the Darth Maul Sith Infiltrator. And you can go and do a specially good Darth Maul for that set. So I think that UCS Sith Infiltrator is also somewhere in the future. Now I've also got 5 long shot sets for the Phantom Menace that I just don't see LEGO making within the decade. I hope I'm wrong because I'd love to see these sets too. But first off, I have the Gungan sub. They've done a couple of them before. The 2012 one was really supremely excellent. And I would really keep the same figures from the 2012 one, except I would swap Amidala for a Boss Nass. I think this is the chance to get a Boss Nass minifigure. If you're ever going to do it in any set, doing it as a throw-in with a Gungan sub, it makes total sense. It goes underwater. Boss Nass lives underwater. The Queen Amidala was a good throw-in for the 2012 one, but yeah, I would want something different the next time around. And hey, I'm all for both. I know people would want the same thing because the Queen Amidala is an expensive figure, but I'd rather have a figure that we have never had before over a rehash of a figure. So I would go for Boss Nass in that Gungan sub. Next, I've got the Republic Cruiser as a long shot, and I only think of this one as a long shot because I think the next vehicle like this that LEGO is going to make won't be an Episode 1 version. I think it's going to end up being a Clone Wars version and have Clone Wars characters and be for the Clone Troopers. I think that makes more sense, but I would still love to see an updated bright red Republic Cruiser for like $150. You'd obviously have to include the captain and the pilot, but I would also throw in Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and a TC4 figure. That TC4 figure I think would go hard in this, although it's maybe not as cool if it's not chrome like it was in the poly bag, because LEGO totally wouldn't do it as chrome now. So I don't know how to feel about that. The next build is one I've wanted for ages, but again, I see it as a complete long shot. But Padme Starship would be amazing. I would slate this one in around $90, and Brick Wizard 59 recently did a new mock-up of it. It included some amazing figs, so I'm just going to go with his figure selection because, frankly, it's about perfect. We, of course, get Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, but then you have the Queen Amidala making a return, along with Captain Panaka, a Naboo guard, and R2-D2 there to save the day. So I think that's a fantastic build, a fantastic set idea. I really hope LEGO goes and does it. The next one, an even longer long shot, a Theed Palace playset. I've seen some people throw around Master Builder Series Theed Palace, which is probably never going to happen. But as like an $80 playset, I think there's some potential. I've seen some good mock-ups of something that could be a cool Theed Palace playset. Throw in a couple of security battle droids, a Qui-Gon, an Obi-Wan, a Jar Jar, and a Captain Panaka, and I think you're good there. You could, of course, always have more figures. Knowing LEGO Star Wars, you could have less, but I think a Theed Palace playset at like $80 would be a really great way to finally get some of that scene in buildings, you know, done in LEGO. Finally, we have one that I don't really know how to place it, but the Looser Hulk, either as a MIDI scale or maybe a UCS at like 240 bucks. So it's like, it's not like a huge UCS set that's like $600, but a looser Hulk could be kind of cool. I think MIDI scale is more likely, but the only reason I want to pop it onto UCS scale is because I think it could have two really cool figures with Newt Gunray and Rune Hako. I think that's just a great combo of characters to have alongside a looser Hulk, and with MIDI scale, like, it was not including minifigures. So I think that, you know, wanting it in UCS just for the figures would be kind of cool there. So that's just kind of the way that I view that. But I don't know, a looser Hulk in some way, shape, or form that isn't the one from the advent calendar would be amazing. I think it's the longest long shot that I have on my list here. There are definitely sets that are even less likely that they would make from the Phantom Menace, but that's kind of my wish list alongside what we have more or less officially for the 25th anniversary this year in 2024. I know a lot of people had big expectations. They wanted an MTT and stuff, and I'm there with you. I'm disappointed there's no MTT. I'm disappointed there's no AAT given the polybag thing. So I think there are some things to be disappointed about. I think there's some things to be excited about for the future, given, you know, they're still going to make an MTT eventually, right? I'm really excited for that May 1st drop of the Phantom Menace 25th anniversary sets. And even though there's no MTT this year, likely, I'll still do a bunch of MTT content on the channel. I'll review all three sets and do the comparison. I was hoping they were going to release one this year. I've been waiting and waiting. I have all the sets sealed in my collection and ready to go, so I'll crack them open this year. So make sure you subscribe if you want to see that. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, and let me know what LEGO Star Wars The Phantom Menace sets you want to see in the future, not for the 25th anniversary, maybe for the 50th anniversary. See ya.